I will start from these 4 slides that I have from the elements of the Orchestra project. If you want to follow along with me, please download this file from the resources of this video. Now what we need to do is we want to put all these elements on one slide. So first let's create the slide. We'll enter a new blank slide. We will start by taking the instruments. I will cut the instrument from here and put it on the first slide. Now we will open the selection pane, and you can see because we named them earlier, we have the trombone, the trumpet, the tuba, the French horn. There's something you might not know about, especially if you haven't watched the elements of the Orchestra Essentials project, and that is we linked a sound to each of those objects. So for the trombone, if we go to Insert, Actions, we can see that we can play the sound of the trombone when we click on the trombone. So this is going to happen every time we click on the trombone. And again, if you haven't been with me in the Essentials project, I don't want you to be surprised where the sound coming from. We have set every instrument to play the sound of this specific instrument, and that comes from the actions, mouse click, play sound, and we get to choose the sound we want it to play. So I'm going first to choose all the 4 instruments, and I'm going to arrange them on the slide. I'm going to make them a little bit smaller. We want to take those instruments aside, so we want to take the tuba and the trombone to the right side, and we want to take the French horn and the trumpet to the left side, and make way for the description to appear in the middle. And then we want them to come back to the middle just like the way they are now. Now first, let's work on those animations. We'll go to the Animations tab and open the animation pane. We already have animations attached to those instruments. We'll cancel those. We'll choose the tuba and the trombone. We'll add an animation. We'll choose the lines from the motion path. By default, the motion path goes down, but we want to change that. We want it to go to the right. And that is exactly where we want our instruments to be. We'll do the same for the French horn and the trumpet. We'll add an animation, lines. This time we'll change it to the left. And they are exactly where we want them to be. Now we're going to choose the tuba and the trombone again. And we're going to add another animation, lines. We're going to take them to the right. But this time we're going to reverse the path direction. So we're going to bring them back. And since we haven't changed anything to the path, the first one will go to the right and the second one will come back. We'll do the same with the French horn and the trumpet. We'll add lines animation that goes to the left and we'll reverse the path. Now we have the animations we need. Let's see how we can trigger those to work well for us. So we will choose all the 4 animations that will take our instruments to the side, and we'll trigger those by the click of the French horn. We'll make sure that they all start with the previous, so we don't need an extra click. Now when we preview our animation, we'll click on the French horn. So you can see that it worked. Now we want to add the same animation 3 more times and trigger it by each of the instruments. So we will choose the instruments again. And we will go and add the animation lines. Add it 2 more times. We know that we need the tuba and the trombone to go to the right. And we need the French horn and trumpet to go to the left. And now we can choose each 4 of these and link them to the other instruments. The trumpet, the last is triggered by the trombone. Remember to make the start of all these with previous, so we have a smooth animation. Now we want to add the trigger to bring those instruments back to the middle. We don't just want to take the instruments and put them to the side. Actually, we want to show the description in the middle when they move to the sides. And now let's go and bring the other objects into the slide. We'll take the French horn. The tuba, just make sure you don't bring the animations with it. And the same, we'll delete the animations. We'll just bring the information. And we'll go to the last one, delete the animation, and bring the information of the trombone. I know that you can't see anything here, but now, because everything is named, we can choose them all and go to Format, to the Shape Fill. We can choose our fill from the background, and we can go to the Shape Fill again and make it a little bit transparent. So that's kind of what we want. We can move them to the side here and choose our text fill from the background as well. And that's it. Now what we need to do is to align these shapes together. Of course, we'll align the information first. We'll go to Align to Center and Align to Middle, so they're on top of each other. We'll put that right in the middle of the... Now we will align them. We'll select Align to Slide this time, and we will align them to the center of the slide and to the middle of the slide. Now we will click on the trombone, trumpet, tuba, and French horn titles. We'll arrange them. Remember to change Align to Selected Objects. Then we can click and align them to center, and click again to align them to the middle. And we want these to appear on the top, so we might want our description to go a little bit below. So I'll click again on the description, and I'm using the arrow keys to bring it down a little bit, and that's it. Now, not to clutter the whole area, we're going to hide the information of all the instruments except for the French horn. Now what we want to do when we click the trigger here is to click on the French horn. We already know that when we click on the French horn, the same thing will happen as if we're clicking on any other instruments. All the instruments will go to the sides. But what else we want to do is we want to show the description of the French horn. And since it is in the middle, we'll keep it in the middle. We'll just need to select the information, the title, and we want to go to Animations, and we can add a fade in. We want the trigger for this animation to be the click of the French horn itself. So it will come with the family of trigger French horn. We'll make sure that it comes with previous, but because the animation of movement to the side takes about 2 seconds, we want to delay that for 2 seconds. We don't want that to appear before the animation is done. So now let's preview the presentation and see what happens. And this is exactly what we want. So we will do the same for the others. So that's it. But this is only the first part of the animation. The problem is when we get the instruments to move to the side and we get the information to appear in the middle, there is no way for us so far to bring the instruments back to the middle and to make the description disappear. So how do we go about adding this to our presentation? We can add an invisible box to the middle. So when we click anywhere in the middle, we will make the description disappear and we will make all the instruments come back. So let's add this invisible box. It's simply a shape, a rectangle shape. We draw it in the middle. It doesn't matter what shape fill we're using. We go to more fill options. We make it fully transparent. We get rid of the outlines, of course, because we want this to be completely invisible. We better name that to know it later, other than the name rectangle 15. So we will say that this is the center mask. Now, what do we want the center mask to do? First of all, we don't want the center mask to be available at all times. We just want it to be available when the instruments go to the sides of the slide. We want this to appear, and the trigger is very simple. The trigger should come with every single click on each of the instruments. So let's click on the center mask and go to animations. We can add appear 4 times. We'll choose these 4 instances of the animation, change the start to with previous. Now we will add the center mask to each of the triggers. We can put it after the information part, because we just don't want the mask to appear before that. At least we want the information to show. Now that we triggered the mask by clicking on each of the instruments, what do we want the mask to do? The first thing we want the mask to do is to make all the descriptions disappear, even if they're not on the screen, but that will be like one button for all. And to do this, we're going to select the information and title for the 4 instruments, and we're going to add the animation to make them disappear. Make that start with previous, and the trigger for that is going to be the center mask. And now comes the time for this animation that we created at the beginning that brings the instruments back to the center. We're going to choose these 4 animations, make sure that they start with previous, and we'll add them to the same trigger, which is the center mask. So the center mask is going to make any information in the middle disappear, and it will bring the instruments to the middle. So let's test that out. We'll preview what we've done so far. I'll click on the trumpet. And now if I click anywhere in the middle, the information should disappear and the instrument should come back to the middle. Now there's a problem with the French horn and the trumpet. If we go to the effect options, we'll make them reverse. Maybe I made the mistake of not making them reverse. So now if we try that again, now when we click on the middle, we can see that the instruments come back to the middle. If we click on another instrument, like the tuba, we can see that we have another problem. The problem is that the center mask is still there. So we need to get rid of the center mask. We need to add a disappear animation, and we need that to come with previous. And obviously we need that to be triggered by clicking on the center mask itself. So when we click on it, it will disappear. Just like all the other information, it will disappear with the information. We will have the animation back. So now we'll test it one more time. We'll press on the French horn. Now if we click in the middle, the instruments will come back, the information will disappear, and now because the center mask itself disappeared, we can click on another instrument and have the same animation. And now we can click on the middle again to have the instruments come back to the middle. So we're good. Except there is a problem here. A problem you might not have noticed. We might be okay with what we've done so far. Let me show you this little problem we have. what happens if I press on one of the instruments and then I press on another and another and another? Well, you can see that we have all the information in the middle. I'm sure that nobody would want to do that, but it can happen by mistake. So how can we prevent a problem like that from happening? The solution will be close to what we've done with the middle mask or the center mask. We're going to create masks for the sides, but these masks are not going to do anything. They're just going to block the instruments and they can stay there at all times. We don't even need to animate them. We just need to make sure they're on top of the other layers. So we will go to the Insert tab, create a rectangular shape that will cover the area here on the left, and I will Control click to take this area to go cover the right as well. Now clicking on both of them, I'll go to the Shape Fill. I'll make sure that the transparency is 100% and we have no outlines so that we don't see it at all. Now, this is the left mask, and this is the right mask. And we have no problem leaving them there at all times because we know that they are on top of everything else. So when the instruments go under them, we can't click on them anymore. Let's test that out. Now this is not actually a problem, but this is because we left transition to be on the mouse click. All we need to do is just to disable the mouse click transition, and to be honest, we just don't need these 4 slides anymore, so we can delete them. Now let's go and try again. Now as you can see, I'm clicking all over the place here and here to the right, and nothing happens. Nothing will happen until we click on the middle, the instruments come back outside of the area of those invisible masks that we created, and now we can click again on one of them, and we have the animation back on. And the same goes for here. We click on the information area, we make this disappear, the instruments come back to the middle, and I can choose another instrument. I hope you like the advanced techniques I introduced to you in this animation. And remember, it's not exactly the animation we're learning about here, it's the concepts that we've learned. And I guess one of the most important things you should remember is the concept of masks. Creating masks, invisible masks, can give you a lot more control over your presentation in PowerPoint. So I hope you enjoyed what you've learned here today, and I will see you in other projects. Thank you for watching.